What is up? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast. We have a big day today. The college football
Huge.
playoff rankings are here. The playoffs are set. We have reactions to that, reactions to what turned into a pretty wild conference championship Saturday. Some games coming down to the wire. Too bad none of them matter for the playoff committee. Well, we're going to get there. Tin's back with us today.
I'm back.
By popular demand.
Yeah, our weekday episodes are a little tough with peak right now. I've been out in the country delivering packages. I'm literally out in the middle of nowhere. I feel like I hear banjos in the distance when I'm out in these rural.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. I'm not even gonna lie. It's
just
I wish
making
people,
Christmas dreams come true.
Yeah, people don't have street lights. People
Call 'em
don't
Santa
have
Claus.
floodlights on their house, numbers on their mailbox, just kind of out there winging it.
Just winging it.
And I'm driving a U-Haul. That's the best part of being a seasonal driver.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I'm on what's called second sort. So that means all the normal routes go out, and then we get everything that's left.
Okay.
We don't have enough package cars for everyone, so I have to drive a U-Haul. And people don't know. So when you roll up in someone's driveway at 7:00 at night and you're in Hartsville, Tennessee, which is an hour, it's in the middle of nowhere, almost in Kentucky.
Holy cow.
Yeah. People are like, why is there a U-Haul in my driveway? So as soon as you hop out, you just start hollering, UPS, please don't shoot. UPS.
Don't shoot me. Those are the people that could shoot you potentially.
Yeah, for sure. I've gotten multiple complaints already about me pulling up in people's driveway at night.
They're just like, why are you here so late?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, you live an hour and 20 minutes away from
not in a UPS truck.
Yeah. So it is what it is. It's fun times. It's only for a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
And then having a newborn at the same time. That was
not easy probably.
It's a fun little wrinkle. He sleeps good, but he only sleeps for about 3 hours, and then he's ready to eat. Then he goes back to sleep. But
for me,
it's still like a 3-hour nap is not ideal.
Yeah, it sucks. It's not forever, which you know, but it is. It's very tough. The first 2 months is like, oh, I feel like you're dying.
And he hates like diaper changes with a passion, and baths. Like anytime he's not just fully clothed, the kid is screaming. He does not like being naked.
Give me clothes.
And this is our first son, so we weren't really prepared for the level of peeing everywhere. But he'll just rip one off and just pee on you. Yeah. It's you got to keep your head on a swivel out here. Fast diaper changes. If you're taking too long, you're gonna get
it. There's some party that always feels like it's intentional.
A little bit. It's like,
they're like, you know what? I hate this.
Taking too long.
Watch this. To train you. Yeah, you just feel like they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Could be.
And that's a getting peed on segment of the day.
There you go.
Of the week.
Hey, that's good stuff right there.
But yeah, he did get to witness his first Jaguars win.
Big one today.
Jags Titans. We're gonna do a full breakdown of it. It's a really important game. Just joking. For anyone,
no one wants to hear that.
For whoever was just sick enough in the head to watch that full game, myself included, congrats. I don't know why anyone put ourselves through that. And the Titans losing didn't even put them at the first overall pick.
It's tough.
The Jags went from 1st to 5th, and I think the Titans moved up to 3rd overall. Right now, the Raiders are on the clock, which would support my theory of Shedeur Sanders going there and Dion becoming the head coach. If that happens, I've got texts where I called that back in early September.
I've thought a lot about the tank recently because of our teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that you can't really ask your players to tank really for two reasons. One is you don't want your fan base to turn on you, which fan bases just don't appreciate the tank very much typically. So people with like season tickets who have paid a lot of money to go to games. They don't want to see you just like throw games. And then you don't
And
want to like if you're a player, you want to play hard because you never know where you're going to be next and if you're going to get
yeah,
traded, and then all of a sudden you don't want all that stuff on film of you playing bad.
yeah.
So the tank is hard to pull off to like a really high degree. But you also feel like do you actually think that organizations ever sit down and like, I think we should try and lose this game? Like behind closed doors, does that conversation happen?
I know that happened the year the Jaguars got the first overall pick in Trevor's draft year.
Yeah.
Because Gardner Minshew broke his thumb and we won our week 1 game against the Colts. It's the only game we won all year, which kept the streak alive of the Colts losing in Jacksonville. But he broke his thumb at the end of the game and didn't say anything to anyone, and then just decided he was going to play the next week. Well, he couldn't like grip a football. So then our backup quarterback was Mike Glennon.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
so I know that we tanked on purpose because Gardner Minshew's thumb healed and we left him on IR. He was cleared to come back, but Gardner Minshew, who had like a fun rookie year, won us some games we probably shouldn't have won, had a decent second year with the Jags as well. So I do think our organization said, no, do not put Gardner Minshew back on that field because we'll win games that we don't want to because we now own the first overall pick. It was like towards the end of the season because the Jets went and won meaningless football games. And that's how we ended up with Trevor instead of Zach Wilson.
That's interesting.
If the
That's why
Jaguars had
that's
drafted
why
Zach Wilson,
like
I would have
relegation
burned.
happens in
Mm-hmm.
soccer. There's
Yeah.
an argument for that. That would
Yeah.
take tanking out of the equation.
I don't think it happens much in the NFL, just because it is really hard to ask 11 guys to do something. Like even if you put bad players in your lineup, there's enough good players to kind of cover up that. I think those Jags teams were so bad that we didn't honestly like it was so bad, and then you just put in a really bad quarterback, like what the Giants are doing right now. I think the Giants are like tanking on purpose. They're putting in Drew Lock, who's terrible. They started Tommy DeVito, who's even worse. Like they're bad. They're
Yeah.
calling bad plays. Like Malik Neighbors, their rookie wide receiver, has been calling out the play calls, like just saying, like, what are we doing? We act like I'm not even on the field. Like, why are we not throwing me the ball? So I think it can happen in football. It's a little bit harder. I think that's why you see it happen in NBA a lot because you can just put 5 guys that probably have no business being on an NBA court for starters minutes, and then those teams lose a lot.
The starters don't want to play anyways for these
Right.
garbage teams.
That's why I like the lottery system kind of. It kind of
That
takes
doesn't
out.
guarantee it.
Yeah, you have no guarantee of getting the first overall pick.
I think it's better.
I think it is better.
I mean, it does sometimes there will be a good team that gets much better. That's like the other side is sometimes it just doesn't fall there. Like it falls the wrong way and all of a sudden.
Especially the NBA, like they trade picks. Like you could trade picks for like 2030. Like there's teams that do
It's
that.
nuts.
Teams that don't have like their first round pick for the next 6 years because they traded for Kyrie Irving or did something crazy like that and traded for
Yeah.
a big time player and then mortgaged their future for like a small window to win championships. And then it doesn't happen and their team's really bad and then those picks end up being lottery picks. And so it's kind of like what you see with the Thunder. The
It's pretty
Thunder,
big
that's how they built
gambling.
their
Yeah.
team. Their whole team's just full of top lottery picks because they traded away all the like Kevin Durant and Westbrook and
Yeah.
got all these teams future picks.
That's it. But it's an interesting way to like say we're going to be bad for a couple of seasons, but there is a future.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And with NBA, you can, I mean, it just takes one player. That's
Definitely.
what's crazy about basketball. You can, if you have one truly like difference maker of a player on the court, you can win the whole thing.
Anthony Edwards or I mean, he's kind of been the guy,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of those players in the NBA. Yeah,
Wembanyama is about to be one. He's about to be a problem,
certainly
like
could be.
dominate the league kind of problem. I've been watching a lot of basketball, and a guy that size should not be able to handle a ball and move the way he does.
Yeah.
It's honestly scary watching him.
Do you think he's actually going to like change the league? Is he the guy to do it?
I think he could have like an effect like LeBron did in his prime, where it's like, what do you do? Like, you can't really beat him. You kind of have to just, like, I don't know. You kind of just try to get lucky. Like, he could
Let him
run the
get his
West. Yeah, like he's gonna do what he's
35 or
gonna
40 and
do.
then just
But that's the thing about Wembanyama is, like, yeah, he's a good scorer. He's averaging like 25 right now, but defensively, he can change how you like try and score,
yeah.
because he can literally go up to contest a layup, and if you pass out to, kick out for a 3-point shot, within one step he can then close out and affect your shot.
It's crazy.
He's 7'6" with like the longest wingspan in the NBA history. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's pretty fun. I think it's a fun like
It's
guy
fun to watch.
to
He's very
watch.
fun to watch.
Very different than anybody else that's like doing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, KD is like tall and can shoot, but he's not playing defense like that.
But he's like he's KD but 6 inches taller.
That is true. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
It's like
crazy.
between me and like a 6'5" guy. It's a pretty big difference, you know.
It's crazy. And it's fun. I kind of wish he would have played a year of college basketball just to see where he would have been like on a team, because it would have been a freak show.
Yeah, the Zach Edey versus Wembanyama like matchup would have been hilarious.
But that's the thing. Wembanyama plays like small forward.
Yeah,
he doesn't even
that's
line
true.
up at center. He's just really tall.
Just like the headlines.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to get into some college basketball soon.
It's been good. I've been watching it, listening to a lot of just random games while I'm driving. It's gonna be a fun college basketball season, I think. I know we did a lot of it last year. Once football wraps up, we'll kind of do some more deep dive information and breakdowns of some college basketball. But
there's a new number one in the country.
Who was it? Duke?
It's your Tennessee Volunteers.
Wow.
They were number 3 last week, and number 1 and 2 lost. And here we are.
I knew Kansas lost. Wow, I didn't know. See,
number 1.
I was pretty down on UT's basketball team coming into the season.
They had to replace a lot of pieces. A lot of veterans like graduated. They had to replace a lot of parts, but they went out in the portal and they got a couple guys who are playing very, very well right now.
Yeah.
Chaz Lanier was like he's honestly a Dalton Connect type, like born scorer.
Yeah.
Has been putting up a lot of points. But there's a couple of like Okpara from Ohio State as a big man has been very effective so far. There's a couple guys who are being difference makers across the court, and then you're also returning Jerome Mashak, Zakai Ziegler, Defensive Player of the Year. So defense is solid. You got a couple of offensive pieces. Cade Phillips is playing better. The team is surprisingly cohesive for it being so many new pieces to it. So we'll get there. I know we've got college football playoffs looming, and we're sitting here talking college basketball, but in the NBA. But we are excited about it.
Check that off your bingo cards. One more bingo card item really quick. This isn't a baseball podcast, but just was announced. Juan Soto signs a 15-year, $765 million deal with the New York Mets.
Holy.
Crosstown rival leaves the Yankees. He said he had no loyalty. Juan Soto did the best thing ever for his agent and himself, where he said, I have no emotional attachment to any team. It's whoever's going to give me the biggest check. That's where I'm going to sign. And boy, did he. That's
That is
crazy.
insane. 15 years is crazy.
I know, but baseball contracts are 100% guaranteed, meaning if he decided to retire after 1 year of this contract, he still gets it.
If he chooses to retire?
Yeah, something like baseball contracts are like
If
crazy
he had
like
like a
that.
devastating injury for sure. Put him
Well,
out for
but there's like that guy from the Mets. They pay him $1 million every year. What's his name? Bobby something. And they've been doing that for like 15 years. He's been retired that long because they like deferred his contract in some weird way.
holy cow. $765 million is like an incomprehensible amount of money.
Is that more than Shohei got?
I think the quantity is higher because it's over 15 years.
Yeah.
I think Shohei's wasn't. It was like 5 years. It wasn't close to 15.
Yeah, and
Pretty
his
sure.
was weird where like it didn't start paying him his big money until later on. I think his was 10 years. 10 years sounds right.
That could be right.
But yeah, baseball contracts are nutty.
Oh, it was 10 years, 700 million.
That's crazy
So
that Soto
his
got more than him.
well, Otani's was more per year,
Yeah.
but because it
Especially
was 5 more years, it was like a bigger quantity.
yeah.
Which he probably just wanted to have the biggest contract ever. That was probably part of his whole thing was like, I just want to have the biggest contract ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how many years it is. Just
That's
I want it to be bigger
crazy.
than Shohei's.
Shohei pitches. Well, he will eventually give it back to pitching and hitting. But that's pretty crazy. I don't know if that makes the Mets like super good or anything, but you know who's not going to like that? Josh. Josh hates the Mets. The Mets and Braves are like arch rivals. I know that much about baseball.
Wow,
Bitter rivals.
that's very interesting.
So there we go. Broke some baseball news.
Some baseball talk right there.
All right, now to what everyone actually cares about.
The meat and
Let's
potatoes,
the meat and
fat to fast.
potatoes. Fat to fast. Yeah. What's going on?
All right,
I heard
everybody.
we're canceling something.
I do have some news for everybody out there. If you've been following my fat to fast journey, you know that I've been training since May, which is insanity. I did some math this week. I've run over 300 miles now in training for a half marathon.
It's crazy.
You might could say that doesn't make any sense, and you would be right. I was supposed to run this in like September, and then in October, and in November, and here on December. Still haven't run it yet. And so I officially announced last week that I was signing up for a half marathon. I did. Days later, I received an email that because there were not enough volunteers, they were canceling the event. So shout out to me, because now I've got to find another one. There is another one at a local park happening on the same day, so I signed up for it. I went and ran the course, pretty hilly, I will say. It's like 3 laps, but I signed up for that one. So I have less than a week now until the half marathon's happening. If I die, I die. I might
Shout
just
out Matt
die.
Rule.
If I hit my goals, I think all my goals are still in play. It may very well kill me. I think I'm the type of person where it's like I'm not going to be able to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I get going, I could literally be like dying, and I think I would keep going. I will hit my goal, which I think I can. I don't think it's unrealistic. I've like I said, I've run 300 miles. It's not like I'm out of shape. I think we're going to be good. So that's my Fat to Fast update. By our Monday episode next week, I will have some. I'll have a full race recap for everybody. Make sure you tune in.
What I want to know is how many volunteers does it take to coordinate a half marathon?
Well, here's the problem.
How many people they need?
So some half marathons do like a loop,
Mm-hmm.
because then you only have to cover like 4 miles instead of 13 miles. 13 miles is a long way to like, because you usually have like 3 or 4 aid stations where they have water, they have like snacks, whatever, along the
Yeah.
way. And you also have to kind of make sure people aren't cheating to an extent. Like you have to have a certain number of people along the route to make sure people aren't like cutting corners and they're actually following the route correctly. But 13 miles, even if it's every half mile, that's 26 people. You have to get out there on the course somewhere. And so I guess it does take a certain amount of people. It's very annoying they decided a week before it to cancel it because I was not going to push this to January. My
Right.
wife would kill me at this point. It's got to happen.
Yeah, is
It's
she
now or
ready
never.
for you to be done training for this thing?
She's ready for me to be done getting up at like 6 in the morning every Saturday and going and
Right.
running for 2 hours and then going. I mean, it's just big time expenditures. The higher your mileage goes, like you're running 9 miles, that's an hour and a half of actual running, not
Right.
mentioning driving there, driving back, warming up, all the stuff that goes along with it. So
All the extra laundry from all your sweaty clothes.
definitely.
All the puke.
We're also now in like a it's cold outside situation.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't mind it. It's better than it being hot outside. You can throw on some like leggings and a long sleeve shirt, and it's not horrible. But it is something else to consider. When I started training, it was like 95 degrees, and I was getting up at 5 a.m. to avoid the heat. And now at 5 a.m. it's dark and freezing. So it's a different experience now. Yeah, for sure. But we're getting it done. So for everybody out there, I'm gonna report back.
Did you have to do the Clydesdale division for this as well, or did
No,
they
they
not
don't
have
have a
that?
Clydesdale division,
Okay.
unfortunately, which I'm kind of bummed because it means that was my only chance of like actually getting a medal or something.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I'm going to be able to compete in actual divisions with my time that I'm anticipating. I mean, it's not going to be. I'll probably be middle of the pack. I'm shooting for a 10-minute pace, which is not slow. Like
Right.
there'll be people with a 15 or 16-minute pace who walk a lot, which is fine. But there'll also be people running like a 7-minute pace, which I just could never touch
More power to
again.
those people. Those
Those are
people
the
are
very small people
insane.
who run a lot and the like cross country kids. Yeah, it's not me for sure. But I'm excited. I've tried to. I've been running, just kind of making sure I'm in race shape. It's not ideal for sure. I've been in better shape in the last 7 months than I am right now. Holidays have taken a toll, but I think we're going to get it done.
All right. Well, now that we've done NBA and college
Yeah, we
basketball,
pretty much covered
fat to
everything.
fast, baseball, I guess we'll talk about this little thing. I don't know if you've heard about it. The college football playoffs
Oh
were
yeah,
announced today.
we're back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just dive on in. We had conference
Yeah,
championship weekend.
it honestly.
Not a
There's
lot of
only one game that
takeaways.
really mattered, and that was the ACC championship.
Yeah.
That one is the one that truly kind of messed things up for
Alabama.
Alabama, which yeah, Clemson wins on a last second field goal. Um, Dabo Sweeney gets into the playoff. Alabama is sad, and all their fans are up in arms about the whole process or whatever. I'm
Well,
just going to
don't
be honest with
lose.
you. I just this is going to sound bad. Any Alabama fan wanting any kind of sympathy from me can just look elsewhere because
Yeah.
I just have none to give. Zero.
Zero.
I have
Sorry.
zero sympathy to give to a 3-loss team who is crying about not making the playoff.
Yeah. Don't lose to Oklahoma by multiple touchdowns.
Don't lose to Vandy.
Don't lose to Vandy. Don't lose. I mean, losing to Tennessee is not a bad loss. That's fine. That's the only acceptable loss of the three that they have. But yeah, I'm
They can
sorry.
say whatever they want. It will fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately, I would have put Miami in there over them. Trying to think like
Now, I mean, the
South
question is,
Carolina. Probably.
South Carolina is. If you're going on like which team I think is like will perform the best, I think South Carolina would be the team. If you're talking about
Yeah.
resumes only, I think Ole Miss has a pretty good argument.
Yeah. Illinois could have had a decent argument.
Other than all that, I don't know that SMU like deserves the spot, but I can't feel bad for Alabama. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. But like we talked about, you couldn't leave SMU out because then you're punished. Then you open up the can of worms of
You'd have had to drop Texas. I mean, they did drop
yeah.
Texas a little bit, but not really. Actually, they put them in the 5 spot, and they put Penn State at the 7, I think. And so,
6. Notre Dame ended up at 7, which I was
okay,
surprised about. I really thought
right,
Notre Dame would have hopped up to the 5.
which really is what we've been predicting all along. I mean, we've been saying that since the beginning. I didn't think they could. I think that the playoff is too scared of upsetting conferences who really like their championship games
Yeah.
to mess with that too much. And so
Yeah.
that didn't surprise me.
I really, at the end of the day, I don't even think if SMU would have lost badly last night. I mean, maybe if we're talking about 30 points, they could have got left out of the playoff. But
Yeah.
I think no matter what, you couldn't have punished them because then you know what SMU would have done at the ACC meetings this spring? They would have said, hey, let's throw out a vote where we get rid of conference championships because obviously they don't matter. We
I think it
lost
might
and then we
happen
didn't even get in the
anyways.
playoff. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Carson Beck
probably
being injured in the SEC championship may uh that's definitely going to be a conversation as well.
yeah.
Is it worth us risking our players in this championship that doesn't really matter very much? Maybe.
I think I so speaking of conference championships, this is a take that I have. I've heard other people say it, and I agree with it a lot. I think going into next year that conference championship winners should not be the auto buys. I think it gets you a spot in the playoffs, but the best 4 teams should be the top 4 seeds.
Kind of like the NCAA championship for college basketball.
Yeah,
You get
like
a
just
spot.
because you get a spot, you won your conference, congratulations, but it doesn't guarantee you one of the top 4 seeds.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Because
You can
like
fight for it. I mean, you're giving a shot at the dance, but you're not going to get preferential treatment because you won the Mountain West.
right, because Arizona State, they've played very well the last few weeks. They got hot at the right time. I'm glad they got in, but to look at that side of the bracket where it's Boise State and Arizona State, like that's you've gifted Penn State or Georgia, like you've gifted that side
Yeah.
of the bracket with what feels like an easier path because it's lesser. Like those teams just are like a Boise State and an Arizona State. No offense, you don't have the athletes that a Penn State or Georgia or even Notre Dame has.
Yep.
So that's one thing I would love to see changed is just the
Yeah, the
top 4
seeding is a
teams.
disaster,
The seeding is a disaster. I agree.
which has been talked about. I mean, Oregon pulls probably the worst draw in the entire field as the 1 overall seed. They've
Yeah.
got to play the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State in the second round, which, I mean, they beat Ohio State by 1 point in the home field. They'll be playing at a neutral site in the Rose Bowl, which would be fun. That would be, man, Tennessee in the Rose Bowl would be awesome. But then, so either of those teams is going to be more challenging than like I don't know, SMU or Arizona State, one of those teams. And they got the absolute worst draw. I think if you're Oregon, you're very upset, even though this is kind of how everyone knew it was going to shake out. It still becomes very frustrating. Where just like the bottom of both of these brackets, you have Texas, who is the 5 seed because they lost this SEC championship, gets to play Clemson in the first round in Austin.
Yeah.
A Clemson team that is extremely flawed. I mean, they
A Clemson team that's not like what's
this is
their
not
good
your
win?
Clemson that you think of typically. Yeah.
Right. Their good win is against SMU, who
Yep.
this is their like SMU is a team that came from the American Conference. Like, this isn't a big powerhouse school. They're a good program, but they're not the same level of big powerhouse schools with huge amounts of 5-star talent everywhere. Like, Clemson lost to South Carolina. They got absolutely demolished by Georgia,
Yep.
and they got beat by Louisville. So
Yep.
the 3 times they played good teams, they lost.
So they're playing Texas, and then they will play. The winner of that will play Arizona State in the second round. Texas, that's a pretty nice draw. On the other side, Penn State has SMU in the first round. Then the winner of that game goes and plays Boise State in the second round.
Yeah.
I mean, what
What a
what are we
gift to
talking
Penn
about?
State. Legitimately, Oregon would have been better off to lose last night
There
on
is
Saturday
a
night.
real argument that's true. I mean, it is true. It's not really an
It,
argument. It is true.
Because even then, they would have just fell to the 5 seed, and the way this shakes out, Oregon would love to have that. Like,
I mean, you
you're
obviously are playing an extra game, and there's always it
there's
adds
always
in,
a chance, yeah.
and I think that was always factored in was like the buy is worth anything, is worth everything. You're going to always trade the buy for matchups. I'm just not sure that's 100% true in this situation.
Yeah, I think if you ask Oregon off the record, hey, would you rather have a bye and then play a very talented Tennessee or Ohio State team? Or would you rather play week 1 and have to play Clemson and then Arizona State? I think Oregon would say, nah, I'd rather play.
For
Like,
sure.
that bye is not as important because Ohio State, as much as it's like they're kind of falling apart because they lost to Michigan, they're still very, very talented. And Tennessee, very good defense. Sampson is a beast at running back, and Nico has improved as the season gone on. Like, I think they've kind of figured out some stuff. Like, Tennessee's
Yep.
dangerous.
He's better and better all the time. And now it's got an extra 3 weeks of practice, 3 weeks of getting healthy.
Yeah, he's a freshman. He's a freshman quarterback. He has gotten better as the season's gone on. Like, I don't think Oregon would sign up for what they've been given if there was a different alternative. And you would.
I've got watching I watched the Big 12 or the Big 10 and the SC Championship games, and one thing that I just kept thinking the whole time was like, it feels like all of these teams are just abandoning the run game for some reason,
Yeah.
especially Georgia. To an extent, that was almost confounding. I mean, obviously, when Carson Beck went down, you had to open some things up and open the playbook up a little bit. But it just feels like they're intentionally refusing to run the ball, or maybe they're just not very good on the ground. But it feels like a lot of these teams, like Ohio State, falls into that category as well. Teams that just don't run the ball very effectively. And I think Tennessee is in a little bit of an out. I mean, obviously, Boise State is in the category of runs the ball very well, but that's against Mountain West competition.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee plays a different brand of football than a lot of teams are playing around the country right now, with a run heavy type. And I think it could throw some teams off. I think that could be a game changer. When things aren't going well, you can always just hand the ball off and trust your guy to get you yardage in big time scenarios. And I think that could be a situation where Tennessee's got an advantage on some teams. I could see Tennessee rolling into Ohio State and just kind of trying to pound the ball and wear down. I think Ohio State's a little bit banged up on their defensive, and that's their offensive line. I think their center is out maybe.
Their center and left tackle are out for the season. So, I mean, Ohio State, that's what was so confusing about Ohio State is you lost multiple starters on the offensive line, and you were just dead set on trying to run the ball up the middle.
That was weird.
Nonstop against what Michigan's only like real strength is their defensive line, especially with both their starting corners were out. So that's where Ohio State's just kind of, I don't know, they make you scratch your head.
A little bit. I mean, and so I think at the end of the day, I don't think we've got to sit here and preview all these games. We're going to have plenty of time to do that because we've got an extra like 2 weeks now before a lot of these games happen.
Right.
It is interesting. There's a lot of storylines here. This is Tennessee's second ever time playing Ohio State. The first time Eddie George was running back for Ohio State. pretty electric. It was in like 95. So these are two teams that really kind of hate each other. And it's pretty fun for like they hate each other in a way where they never actually play, but the fan bases don't get along very well, which is fun. And I think that's a fun part of our playoff. We have Indiana, Notre Dame, which obviously those are some teams that don't really play each other very often. SMU, Penn State, and Clemson, Texas. You just got some fun matchups, some different things, which I think is a positive. There's been a lot of negatives around this playoff system right now. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have to play the best teams at some point.
Yeah.
And Heupel is kind of, for Tennessee, has been pretty vocal about we're just going to go beat the team in front of us. If you can't sit around and just be like, well, if this was at home, we would have, you just got to go play, Ohio State is beatable. Michigan just did it.
Yeah. It's a new season.
Yeah.
Everybody's 0-0. Like, there is no more like, oh, woe's us. We deserved a home game. It doesn't matter anymore. Win that, and then it's neutral site from there on anyway.
Yeah.
And I think Heupel is a good coach, and he will have the guys focused and ready for that. I like our chances against Ohio State because I think they're in a weird spot right now where I think Ryan Day, like, there's some rumors that Ryan Day, yeah, like their fan base doesn't know what they want to do because I think part of them says yes, we'd love to go win the national title, but that Michigan game is so important to them that they would still feel like, oh no, it wasn't like.
Yeah, half of them want Ryan Day just to get embarrassed and get fired.
Yeah, see, well, I saw some rumors that Ryan Day was already looking at other jobs in the middle of this season because he was just kind of tired of this, like how much success he's had at Ohio State, and he only gets praised or taken down because of what he's done against Michigan, which is he's not beaten. I think he's only beaten them once. So yeah, I don't know. They're a team that's in a weird spot, and you might be able to catch them. Where their team might just say, hey, you know what? We're just done. We're done. Most of us seniors that decided to come back, that was a mistake. We're leaving anyway. Like, whatever. We're out of here.
I mean, it certainly could be.
Yeah. And I just don't think they have the quarterback play. I've said it once. I've said it 4,000 times that I don't think Will Howard is a national title winning quarterback, like difference maker in college football.
Yep. I agree. For sure. I think Will Howard is not a bad quarterback, but I don't think he's like a game changer. I mean, he obviously Ohio State has game changer players, but
right.
I don't think quarterback is one of them. And I think they're pretty banged up. Like we talked about on the offensive line, which Tennessee's defensive line is solid and has been all season. Mm-hmm. I just think there's a reality where Will Howard is just kind of abused and this game goes a certain way.
James Pierce, 3 sacks.
I mean, that'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be pretty nice. He's going to look good in teal. Jags aren't picking first overall anymore, so we can't get Travis Hunter.
Everything's opened up. Yeah.
Yep. I love James Pierce.
So there now we kind of buried one storyline so far, and that would be, well, we actually didn't bury it. We talked about it a lot already. Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
The Alabama conundrum here. SMU lost, still made the playoff. Essentially, the committee chose to put in an SMU team that had one loss in the regular season plus a conference championship loss over a 3-loss Alabama team.
Both those losses were only 3 points.
Yeah. I mean, SMU's lost some close games. Obviously, that game to Clemson was very, very tight, which definitely factored in, I think. Bama is up in arms. The world is against them. They've never caught a break in their whole lives. The committee hates them and is out to get Alabama. One of the funnier things I saw was the AD at Alabama releasing a press statement, which Nick Saban can only do so much now that he's in his role. But the AD at Alabama said something along the lines of, we think this is a bad decision. We think we're setting a bad precedent. by not looking at strength of schedule and letting in. He didn't say this, but like by letting in ACC teams over an SEC team, you're saying that schedule doesn't matter anymore. In the future, Alabama's going to look to schedule easier non-conference games, yada yada yada. Which has been there's been a lot of pearl clutching about the SEC schedules. How there's no way they go to 9 SEC games anymore, which is probably true. But about
Hey
how
Zach, who did Alabama's 3 losses? What conference did that come from?
this is a great question. Yeah. All of them were conference games. And their 3 losses were to Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, 6-6 Oklahoma, in a blowout, plus Tennessee on the road.
Yeah.
And there was a funny community notes that was basically just like none of Bama's losses were to non-conference teams or non-conference opponents. They were all like scheduling G5 teams is not going to help your conference games go the better way.
Right.
Which is just hilarious because it's exposing. I mean, Bama can complain all they want about it, but at the end of the day, you can't lose 3 conference games to bad teams or at least 2 to bad teams
And still
and
get
expect
rewarded.
to just be gifted like it has in the past. You don't have Nick Saban anymore. It did signal a little bit that the committee was like, yeah, we're not giving preferential treatment here. I mean, it happened. Whatever. You can say whatever you want about some of the seating being a little questionable. I'm a Tennessee fan, so I'm a little biased there. But I think it is an interesting statement. Now, something else that happened is Georgia, Kirby Smart, after they won the SEC championship, decided to take some of his time with a microphone in front of the whole stadium and shoot a shot at Greg Sankey.
Who was standing right there.
Something along the lines of, thank you to Greg Sankey for having us out on the road all season. Here we are. We did it anyway. Something like that, which is one of the most outrageous takes to make in front of the entire world.
Yes. Georgia had a above average.
It was a hard
SEC,
schedule. I mean, it was a tough schedule.
Hard schedule. Did they play some away games? Yeah, but one of those is a neutral site game that you guys decide to play in Jacksonville.
Yep.
That's your fault. If you really don't like it, then switch it, and you guys can play home and away.
Greg Sankey did not schedule that for you.
Yeah, you in Florida are the ones who decided to do that 30-something years ago. That's not on Greg Sankey. And then, hey Zach, where is the SEC championship game played?
Yeah, this is the craziest piece because they're standing in Atlanta when he's saying this, and then they're
going to be standing in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl that they're going to be in.
Like, what are we talking about, Kirby Smart? Kirby Smart's become famous for this kind of he does this thing where he always acts like the world is against them. Georgia. That's like his shtick, you know?
Yeah.
He's like he's famously a couple times told his players something along the lines of, you know, they're all counting you out. Everyone is no one believes in you. Look at these sports writers who've counted you out and stuff. And I'm like, no one's ever doing that. You know, that's he's fabricating this. He's creating his own bulletin board material, which is 100% accurate. And this is the same thing, like creating a victim mentality over playing away games when you've got like 4 of them, essentially like 4 true away games, is just mind blowing when you're playing a home game for the SC championship and for one of your playoff games, and not in the first round. It's just like, what are we talking about, Georgia? Cool it. You're in the playoffs. You just won. The fact that was his first response after winning the SC championship was
the call out Greg Sankey.
That was like, what are we doing?
It's just like when Travis Kelce called out, like, no one believed in us the last time they won the Super Bowl. It's like, you guys have been the favorites all year. Like, Georgia's been the favorite to win the SEC all season. Like, what are you crying about? Just stop doing the fake woe is us, the world's out against us. no one believes in us but us. It's like, no, that's just not true.
It's
Kirby
truly
Smart.
not at all. Yeah, they had 4 true road games at Kentucky, which they won 13-12, if you remember.
Hmm.
At Alabama, which they lost. At Texas, which they won. And at Ole Miss, which they lost.
Well, yeah, so that was his first thing was rest. He was like, yeah, it means we get some rest. My boys get some rest because we've been out on the road thanks to Greg Sankey and his staff. Like I watched the clip like 4 times earlier. I was like, what did he just say? And then the cameraman pans right to Greg Sankey who's standing there and he's just kind of looking around like, why is
What?
what's he coming for me for?
They haven't played on the road since November 9th. They
They
had
need
had
some rest.
3 home games in a row before that.
One of them was against UMass.
They played Tennessee, UMass, and Georgia Tech, which went to 8 overtimes because you couldn't beat a Georgia Tech. I mean, whatever, Kirby Smart, whatever you need to do to make your team want to play hard. I guess congrats, you did it.
You did.
You made it. You got a nice draw for the playoff spots. You're playing in Peach Bowl, which is great for you. Shout out. It's just very annoying.
He is a very obnoxious guy.
It's kind of a guy that's like, just did the players actually like him? You think?
I
have no insight into this, but he seems like
a
an
guy.
unlikable character.
I don't know. There's a guy on the Jags, Tyson Campbell. He's a corner for Georgia, and he talks about Kirby like he's his hero. So I don't know.
Interesting. It's always
Defensive
like
players
Kirby
seem to like.
Smart or like Bill Belichick. You know why people can just be like, he's no nonsense. He's just like a guy who demands perfection, and I can respect that, you know. Or you can be like a player's coach, and you can be like relatable, and you can be like personable. There's like that as well. I'm not sure where Kirby Smart lies on like the spectrum of good coaches.
Or you could be a coward and a bad coach and throw your quarterback under the bus a lot and have no accountability and promote your offensive coordinator to play caller for some reason, although he sucks at his job, and get yourself fired for the second time kind of coach. Those coaches exist.
Seems like you were talking from experience.
Yeah, from a stupid visor wearing idiot. I don't know how Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. I'll say it. Nick Foles had just some kind of magic. He must have found a genie in a bottle.
Yeah.
Because Doug Peterson having a Super Bowl ring does not make sense to me.
I feel like this take is probably just not going to work, but
I like it already, though.
I want you to prove me wrong. I feel like most Super Bowl quarterbacks are either like elite quarterback play, or it's like a super mediocre quarterback, and the rest of the team is just like electric.
It was just some kind of magical run.
Like Nick Foles feels like that.
Joe Flacco.
I feel like
Eli Manning's
Eli Manning. I didn't know if that was going to be wrong. I was going to say Eli Manning. Because obviously, like Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, you can be like, those are elite quarterbacks, like led their team. And sometimes just like they had a good team and the quarterback was just like, okay.
Steve Spagnuolo won those 2 Super Bowls for the Giants. He is the best defensive coordinator. He's a big reason why the Chiefs are as dominant as they are. Like the Chiefs offense has not been great this year. Their defense has been outstanding. And that is Steve Spagnuolo is a mastermind. He will low key go down as maybe like the best defensive coordinator in NFL history, in my opinion. What he did to those 2 Patriots teams in the Super Bowl.
It's awesome.
What he's been doing with the Chiefs, like it's crazy. But yeah, no, I bet you if you go back and look at a lot of Super Bowls, like not Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl winners, like a lot of it's probably just a magical run.
It is. Which is very interesting. It's like
that Super Bowl could have been the Eagles versus the Jags. We were one Blake Bortles completion away from that happening. I have a very targeted algorithm. I don't follow this page, but it's this guy who just does chopped up clips from the 2017 Jaguars team and to like sad music, like I miss you kind of music.
Yeah.
And it hits me in my feels because I miss that team. Didn't know what I had till it was gone. I miss
Been
Blake
chasing it ever
Bortles.
since. Yeah.
Really have been.
That's funny.
If we would have just won that Super Bowl, then I wouldn't have had to deal with Nick Foles and Doug Peterson. I've had to deal with both of them. The Jaguars franchise has invested a lot of money in both of those people after they won the Super Bowl.
It's kind of like the Brock Purdy thing too. I mean, that's like probably your best example of a quarterback that just like gets the job done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they haven't won a Super Bowl, obviously, but they're like,
but they've been there.
They've been there, and it's not because of elite quarterback play.
They're about to have to pay him like an elite quarterback, or they won't. And they'll fire Shanahan, and then he'll be able to go to a new team. Man, would I hate for Kyle Shanahan to have to move to North Florida. I think that would be really bad for him. I'd cut off a body part for Kyle Shanahan to be the Jaguars head coach.
Which one?
Any of the toes, whichever one you need.
That's pretty good. That's a good deal.
Any of them. If it's the right, or I'll do two. I could do two toes, but it's like the ring toe. Like that one.
Just one of the middle ones.
Yeah, it doesn't matter toe. You got to keep your pinky and your big toe. That's where all your balance comes from.
Right.
Just in case I ever want to play in middle-aged men's basketball YMCA league. Got to keep my doors open. Gonna need that. Gotta have a good balance.
On the road.
It's true. Yeah, shout out everyone that lives in Hartsville, Tennessee. You guys love having your dogs outside. My gosh, I am running out of milk bones on a daily basis. There are lots of dogs at every house I pull up to. And I have to ask myself the question. I'm like, is it just a good dog or a bad dog? So if you're a bad dog, your package gets left at the end of your driveway. Sorry.
Take a hike.
I'm not getting bit. Some of these dogs I can't outrun. They're fast.
That's it. Imagine not having a couple toes.
Or having an arm because the daggum German Shepherd bites your arm off.
Okay. Well, we can do some more playoff talk coming up later this week. We've got a couple weeks now to break down these matchups, and it's an exciting time, though, football.
Yes, college football playoffs are starting for the first time. We'll still have some bowl games. I'll have some picks for those for sure. NFL is heating up. We've got some. The Bills won their division for like the 5th year in a row today. I think they locked it up because of other teams losing and sucking. Shout out Jets and Dolphins and Patriots. You guys are all terrible.
Shout out.
So, yeah. And if the Chiefs end up winning tonight, they win the AFC West for like the 9th year in a row.
Gross.
That is gross. That's even before Patrick Mahomes. It's like 2 years, because he's like year 7, I think. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either. Mason would find that answer pretty quick. Shout out Mason. He is not here tonight, or else we would have some fact checks going on.
Yep, for sure. We have no fact checks tonight. We're just saying whatever.
No community notes. Yeah. Don't community notes us.
Don't text us. Well, we will be back on Thursday to talk some more playoffs. We got some NFL talk to catch up on as well. We'll have it all. We'll be here. We are excited about to see these playoffs in action, and we will be here for all the action. Check out the Discord. Tins is cooking on there all the time, giving out bets. He's getting rich. You'd be a fool to not follow him.
We're having a good basketball season already, and we haven't even got to conference play yet. And that's where all the money's at. So, get in while you can before I start charging for this sucker.
It's close.
If I win about 50 more games in a row, we're charging $1 a month.
Yep. You got to pay for that kind of content. We'll get away for free. Catch it while it's hot. Okay. Feel good?
All right. Feel good. Feel great.
All right. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Have a great week.